welcome back to another video. It's a very rainy day today, and I'm gonna give you guys an inside look at Canepa Motorsport. So let's get into this. All right, we're here at the floor of the Canepa Motorsport. Got some M1 wheels, some wheels from a very special Ferrari you'll see very soon. And here is the alignment rack. Got like a nice 911 on there. And here is one of, I believe, 4 black BMW M1s from the factory. Pretty neat. Whole engine. So this is a Ferrari 308 Group 4 spec rally car. Now this isn't one of the factory Michelotto built cars, but it ran in Spain and it was pretty successful. Let's see. 308 GTB. Pretty clean. M1, nice green 356. Very nice. Another 356 and blue. Nice brown interior. And in between this 356 is another M1. This one in white. Once again, you can see the engine right up front. So pretty much this was built by both BMW and Lamborghini. Lamborghini basically developed a lot of this car. And about 400 or so of these built. They're appreciating a lot nowadays. Little Outlaw 912. This is actually a roof. 1979. Roof 911. It's currently undergoing a full restoration. So that'll be pretty special when it's all done. Alright, there's a lot of special stuff in this room right here. So this is a factory Porsche 916. So the 916s are only made for the Porsche family. This one is Brutus. And it's actually, when the paint is on it, it's gonna be like a very dark purple. It almost looks black. When the sun hits it, you'll be able to see purple in it. And this car is complete restoration. It's all stripped. Lots of body work being done to it. Yeah, it's gonna be amazing when it's all finished. Another very special car. This is a Bugatti EP110 GT. Now this car was originally green from the factory. I forget the exact shade, but it was later repainted a blue. And that blue is now stripped away. We could possibly be seeing that original color being finished on that car. That is part of a 962. And here we have another 959. This one is very early on the restoration. It's still on the factory wheels and tires. So the 959s are pretty much one of Canepa's specialties. Gone through nearly the entire production line of 959s. So these cars are essentially the reason why you're able to import all of your Japanese cars, all of your European cars, These cars established the 25-year rule. Here's the Ferrari 250 short wheelbase. Now this specific chassis was originally Grigio, a very dark silver, over red interior, I'm pretty sure. This car was from Japan, and it was repainted into red, as you can see here. Now this was not done by Canepa. Canepa bought it like this while it was finished red, so hopefully it'll be converted back into its original color. As you can see, the engine's all stripped out. They're already doing a lot of work on it. Alright, so over here is the final assembly, essentially for restorations. As you can see here, this 356 is coming together, along with this 300 SL Going. Now this car was completely stripped and undergoing a restoration on whatever the customer wants. As you can see, this little Fiat is coming together, all pieced back. But yeah, it's very rare you get to see a Going in a state like this. As you can see, all the wiring, the bare chassis. The chassis on these cars are actually very complex for its time. I think these cars are not necessarily underappreciated. They did make a lot of them, but I could see these cars one day reaching possibly 8-figure prices. Alright, moving on. Alright, so here is the back rooms of Canepa. Don't worry, we'll get into these cars in extreme detail very soon. Here we have a Ferrari Daytona, a beautiful blue. This car is completing its restoration. It's perfect. And a very special Jaguar XJR 15. This is a chassis 50. And, you know, these cars were essentially TWR built these cars using remaining race chassis, so it's pretty much the same chassis as the XJR 9 that won Le Mans. And they were somehow converted into street cars. Now, not the actual XJR 9s, but the chassis were developed into these. So Jaguar and TWR put this together. TWR basically built the entire thing, and Jaguar slapped their name on it. So first, full carbon road car, chassis, bodywork, everything. And you know, super lightweight, these cars. And these are actually Velcro, if you didn't know. These are Velcro, so you could take out the lights if you needed to without it being too complex. And you know, I notice these cars often get mixed up between the Nissan R390, and that's because TWR actually developed the Nissan R390, and it is the same greenhouse from this car that is on the R390. So it's very unique. And I mean, all these cars, none of them were the same. And this one is actually, believe it or not, it's a Toyota color shade. So this is a unique color for this car. Can't really see it in here, but if you see it in the sun, it's a very dark metallic blue. Most of them are like a light blue. So, one-off Jaguar XJR 15. Got a beautiful Porsche Carrera RS. I believe this is one of the early cars. And here we have a Porsche 910. This is chassis number 18. But yeah, this is one of the privateer cars This car was sent over from Japan, and now it is here in the US. And looking forward to what happens with this car. Don't really know any of the plans on it. Might be for sale, might just be kept for a while. And from one to the next, we have Bruce's personal Speedtail. Now this is finished in a in-house paint color that the guys have been able to come up with. So Canepa Root Beer Brown. It is a very unique color for sure. And as you can see, the little turbofan looking things are taken off, and they redid the wheels. Before it was like a gloss black with silver pinstriping type thing, and this car is fully spec'd out. I mean, just this badge alone, this is the retro badge, right? So you could only have this badge if you previously owned a McLaren F1. So that badge is a very expensive option, I believe about $20,000. As you can see, fully done interior, really beautiful leather, suede, Alcantara. And this car is also fitted with a really small weave carbon fiber. It's the first time McLaren has introduced that. We have some 993s, another Carrera RS. Now this car is actually started off pretty much as a 1972 911, but it has been converted into almost like a RSR. It's pretty much an RSR now. So that's nearing completion. And here we have a Roof Turbo R Limited. This is only one of 7 in the world. Last one I believe sold in Monaco at an auction for about, I think it was either 1.7 or 2.7 million. So these are worth a lot of money. Here we have a Swiss Champion 930 RSR 3.0. So this won the Swiss Championship twice, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 1974. And believe it or not, this car is actually, that's right, you see it. Beautiful 2.9 911. And this E30 M3 right here is pretty special. This was owned by Paul Walker. So it's got some significance of the ownership. 13,000 miles, but very clean. These cars have appreciated so much in recent times. A little outlaw build here. Here we have a 300 SL Roadster. They built less of these than the Gullwings, and they've typically sell for more than a Gullwing. This is beautiful. It's got green interior. Absolutely perfect. This is owned by a very well-known collector out of Southern California. Here we have one of the finished 959s by Canepa. So as you could see, this car is completely reformed, transformed. I mean, the interior is just beautiful red, this blue paint. Completely redone this car. I believe this one's pushing about 800 horsepower, if I'm not mistaken. Sorry for the lighting, it's not the best to film in here. But they actually fit these cars with larger wheels so they could run modern tires on it, compared to the the factory, they're RE71s, Bridgestones, pretty sure. So they're able to run modern tires on these to put that power down. And yeah, I mean, you could see interior is just beautiful. One of the 993 RSRs, about 30 of these built, and one of them was converted to road use here, so this one could possibly be seen the same conversion. Pretty clean car. Here's one of Bruce's personal cars. This thing is just perfect. 356 Outlaw. The whole body has just been beautifully done. Interior perfect. Really top-notch work here. Yeah. 962, and I believe this is a Chupon chassis, so a very late car. This ran in Japan and at Le Mans. This has ran everywhere. The 0123 Art Sports livery, such a classic livery. This car does extremely well in modern historic racing. Yeah, you could see this thing at Laguna pretty much every major event. Here we have Scott Pruitt Motorcraft Roush Mustang. Now, interesting story on this car. You know, during this series, Profab is essentially the they built these cars and then you put the bodies on them. And this car is chassis 008, and I believe midway through the season, I think it was 1986 or 84, somewhere in that era, this actually was not a Profab Roush Mustang. It was something else. A different team had a different body, and midway through the season, Roush got this chassis and put this car on it, and Scott Pruitt won Daytona in class in this car. So there was a little bit of a mishap between the history on this chassis, because it was ran on two different cars. Yeah, these cars are insane. They ran a lot of horsepower. And Ford GT Mark II. A lot of stuff in here. Dallara Stradale, I believe the only one in the US imported. Countach 5000 Quattro valve with chrome wheels. But this is a very special car right here. So this is a Bugatti EV110 Super Sport, but it is not just any Super Sport. This is a Le Mans spec Super Sport. So I believe these were not done by the factory. These were done afterhand, and they only made 3 of them. So 2 of them went to Japan. This is one of the Japanese cars. And the 3rd one went to Schumacher. So recently, I believe some photos came out of this exact car running at Japan on a test track, and this thing could reach over 230 miles an hour. So more on the turbo setup. It's essentially a upgraded turbo system which produces, I believe, around 40 more horsepower than the standard. You know, slight changes like that were done to this car. And yeah, I believe this is the same car. I'll put the photos up on the screen. I believe it is the same car. RS200. Alright, just to show you the sheer scale. There we have a very special Nissan GTP car, Trans Am winning Jaguar, a Fab car, 935, Texaco 962, and just an overhead look at what we have here. you know, more 959s than I could even count. All right, moving on to the motorsport side of things. This is a Porsche 934.5, which has been road converted to this. So this was originally an Interscope car, but it was completely restored and transformed into this one-off Canepa blue example. And it is fitted, instead of BBS, it has Momo wheels. And road usable interior. So you may think that this is a 934, but this is actually the only 934.5 delivered from the factory with 934 bodywork. So it looks like a 934, but underneath it's a 934.5. This car is very close to completion. And here we have a single turbo Interscope 935. Single turbo is a pretty rare configuration. Most of them are twin turbos. And this is one of the factory bodywork cars. You know, a lot of them were converted into Kramers or all sorts of other, you know, builders got their hands on them. So it's very rare to find a factory body 935. This engine is for the 935 K4, and that is not here right now, but should be ready by Rennsport. So here's Bruce's personal car, also in the factory configuration. This is the last 935 to come out the factory, I believe. And funny story on this car right here. This is originally they all started like that. You know, those 935s. And then this was later taken in by Kramer, and it's a K3. But now it's being converted back into factory spec, so can't speak much more on that car, but it is going to be crazy when it is finished. And here is the 962 from the bodywork that I showed earlier. This is 962 chassis 116. This is one of the Sachs cars. This ran in the US, Sebring, and this is also being prepped for Rennsport. You know, all new, beautifully done work. The brakes, the suspension setup. These cars are really ahead of their time. That is why they were so successful. And finally, we have a nice little 906. As you can see, got the engine stripped out. And this car was actually on the road not too long ago. I missed it. They did a little road test. Went down the street. This is a very special 906. I don't know all the exact history on it, but a lot of work is being done to this car to make it more user-friendly. That's all I'm gonna say for now. Headers and exhaust. I'll see if I missed anything. This is really, you know, the inside look. Not a lot of people get to see this side of the shop. And yeah, more to come in a bit.